Today's devotion is titled, You Come Down, and we're on day 225, and we're on August the 13th. And today's morning rinse is to read Luke 19 through 21, and the featured verse that I pulled out today is Luke 19:5. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So when I was a child, one of my all-time favorite songs in children's church was about Zacchaeus. I still remember the dramatic line in the song where a room full of kids would shout out, Zacchaeus, you come down. It makes me giddy because of those childhood memories and just the things that we would do in children's church, and makes me smile. I mean, my friends and we would point to each other when we did this, and we would have one hand on our hip and one hand pointing, and we would giggle, and we would display these silly facial expressions when we said, Zacchaeus, you come down. Zacchaeus, he brought out the sass in all of us with that song, and he was limited by his height, but he was not limited by his hope. I think that even as a child, we wanted that hope, and we could feel that his limitations did not, draw the line, if you will. We could see that he wanted that hope, and it's something that we could feel in our hearts as a child. And this hope is what caused him to sprint way ahead of the crowd and climb a tree so that he could see Jesus. So despite his height, he became taller than anyone in the crowd. I've often wondered, was he a little person? How short was he? I don't know, but he ran way far ahead so that he could climb that tree. He found a way to surpass his limitation. Jesus noticed him. And not only did he tell him to come down from the tree, he agreed to have dinner with him. And, in that moment, he could have just said, come down from the tree. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to connect with you in that moment. But instead of just leaving it with the crowd around him and connecting in that moment, just the two of them for a few minutes, he agreed to have dinner with him and connect with him on even a deeper level. And we know in that interchange that Zacchaeus' life was forever changed. And whether it was Jesus's acceptance of him, or whether it was something that he said to him while dining, we know his heart changed. He even committed to giving half of his possessions to the poor and paying back 4 times to anyone that he defrauded. You can read that in chapter 19:8. We may also have limitations that cause challenges in our lives, but Jesus wants us to put forth effort to combat those limitations. Zacchaeus didn't complain about his height that I am aware of. It was his reality, and so he found a way to get past that. So what can you do to creatively get past the limitations that you maybe perceive that you have to fulfill the plans that he has for you? Our efforts will allow Jesus to then say to us, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. Here are the words to this childhood song. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree and he said, Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today. Have you ever heard that song before? If you haven't, it goes something like this. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree and he said, Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today. I remembered some of the actual actions or whatever to that, but that's the song. And it was literally one of my favorite childhood songs in children's church. And I hope that if you are listening and your children go to Sunday school or children's church, that they are formulating some favorite songs as well. So today's challenge to dig deeper is I want you to list 2 things that you can do today to creatively combat a limitation that you have. We all have some limitation, right? What are 2 things that you can do? And these are not necessarily flaws about our character or flaws about, ourselves overall, but we have some limitations, that might kind of try and hold us back a little bit, or not like, us to do the things that launch us to greater heights or whatever. But what are those 2 limitations? What are 2 things that you can do to combat creatively a limitation that you may have? So put forth that effort and go do something today to turn that thing into a strength. Ask God how, and he will show you. God will creatively bring out those ideas. And, God is a creative God. And, just ask him how. Ask for some ideas. And you never know what he might say. But what a fun day to reflect on the story of Zacchaeus and how that relates to us. And when you pull out your journal tonight and you are reflecting this evening, can you sense excitement growing in your heart about how you will now handle those limitations that you have? Is there a birthing of kind of a new dawn, a new ideas, new things that you can, do when you're following after God's heart? And I hope that today inspired you, that, you can think of this, song in a new light and have kind of some fun ideas come forward. I know for me, I have, I'll have to just share a story. I have a limitation when it comes to horses, or I have had that. I've been afraid of horses. My oldest daughter got bucked off, and I've seen other people get bucked off. I've seen videos about horses kicking and stuff. And so it's been a little bit of a sense of understanding when it comes to horses. And yet our family has been going on a journey of learning horsemanship, and it has been really cool. And that was a limitation for me because of fear of an animal. And over the last, since springtime, I've been building relationships with some horses, and my fears have been, kind of diminishing. And it's almost brought out a new vision for my life. And that has been really cool. And so my things for me have just been facing that limitation, that fear I've had, and God's opened up some doors for that to occur, and I'm excited to see what God uses for that. And that's just one example, but ask God how he can show you if there's anything in your life that you kind of feel like you have a limitation, whether that's fear or a physical thing or just anything. What 2 things can you do to start combating that limitation, and put forth the effort? And I look forward to hearing from you. And again, if you don't have my devotional, or somebody who needs it, be sure and look in the show notes. And also too, if these episodes are inspiring to you, be sure and share them with other people. The word's going to get out, and that will help this podcast as well as the YouTube channel. So be sure and share the episodes if there's something that spoke to you and somebody that it would just speak to them as well. Be sure and share it with them. And as always, and until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.